These are common words that often appear in students' answers. Do you use them too? Then, are you sure that you use them accurately? Let's have a look at some examples. A. We went on a picnic despite it rained heavily. B. We went on a picnic in spite of the heavy rain. C. We went on a picnic although it rained heavily. D. We went on a picnic even though the heavy rain. It seems pretty obvious that all these sentences contain the same idea. However, 2 of these sentences are grammatically correct and the other 2 are grammatically inaccurate. Can you see which ones are the right ones? These are the right ones and these are the wrong ones. Now, I'll teach you how to use these words correctly in your speaking and in your writing. These words have essentially very similar or the same meaning, but how they are used is different. Firstly, although, though, and even though have the same meaning, although it is believed that the last one, even though, has a slightly more emphasis. They are all conjunctions, which means they should be followed by a clause, which includes a subject and a verb in it, and there should be a main clause coming before or after the conjunctional phrase. They all are used to express unexpectedness. I missed the school bus. I got to school in time. We have 2 sentences here that express unexpectedness. You can put them together by using either although, though, or even though, like this. Although I missed the school bus, I got to school in time. Please note that you have to place a comma after the conjunctional clause. You don't need a comma when you have the main clause come first, like this. I got to school in time, although I missed the school bus. There's no difference in meaning when you change the order. Next, despite and in spite of have exactly the same meaning, although in spite of is generally considered less formal. In terms of their use, they are the same. As they both are prepositional phrases, they are followed by a noun. By a noun, I mean a noun phrase, and gerunds, followed by an object. Despite my lies, he forgave me. He forgave me despite my lies. Despite leaving home early, I arrived at the meeting 5 minutes late. I arrived at the meeting 5 minutes late, despite leaving home early. Please note that you have to place a comma after the prepositional phrase. You don't need a comma when you have the main clause come first, like this. In case you want to put a clause or a sentence after despite or in spite of, you need the phrase the fact that. This phrase enables you to have a sentence. Take a look at these examples. Despite the fact that I lied to him, he forgave me. And this is exactly the same as he forgave me despite the fact that I lied to him. Despite the fact that I left my place early, I arrived at the meeting 5 minutes late. And this sentence is exactly the same as I arrived at the meeting 5 minutes late, despite the fact that I left my place early. If you don't have the phrase the fact that, you can only put a noun or a noun phrase after despite or in spite of. In summary, although they all have very similar meanings to each other, the conjunctions although, though, and even though need a clause with a subject and a verb. And the prepositional phrases despite and in spite of need a noun. When you want to have a sentence after despite or in spite of, you must have the fact that right after despite or in spite of. Remember that you can replace although with even though or though. Likewise, you can replace despite with in spite of. Also, you can replace although, even though, and though with despite the fact that or in spite of the fact that. Read these sentences and put either although or despite in the brackets.